What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Out Moment Smack Talk podcast. Royal Rumble 2025 just happened, and I'm very surprised about the ending there. Who am I? Well, I am Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins, as you can see.
I mean, very, very much not always for WWE shows, but
not always necessarily.
I made an exception. Made an exception for this one.
Let me fix my lighting a little bit there because this is a little bit obnoxious. There we go. It's not as bad. As we always do here, we always want to know what everybody has to say, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you want to leave a comment elsewhere, there's plenty of different means for you to do that. Facebook, Twitter, Discord. We put the little Discord thing up there for you can see that. That's a little link that'll work for you if you want to join in on that. It's always free and always open for people to join the channel. Keep in mind, if you are on YouTube, hit the like button, subscribe, ring that notification bell, hit on that thanks button. We are, live right now. So if you are in our live chat, take advantage of the super chats. We got a goal up, 5 those super chats in the next, I set it for 30 minutes. And then we'll do a bonus episode of something this month. If you want to click on the join button, you get access to the same stuff as the Patreon. The YouTube membership thing has the Darkcast tier, the Pick Your Poison tier, all that good stuff. It's all greatly appreciated, as well as the TeePublic and Redbubble shops for all the merchandise options. So keep all that in mind. Royal Rumble had 4 matches on the show. It's not going to take long to talk about the full-on results of those matches, but obviously Royal Rumble matches include lots of little bits and pieces. So that's where we're going to spend our bulk of this and where we think that they're going forward. I would say overall, before we get into like the very specifics of this, I thought this was a really fun show. What about you?
I was underwhelmed, and it certainly
overall, or was it predominantly just the matches that are the Royal Rumble ones that kind of threw you off?
Honestly, there was only one match I thought was really good on the show, which was Owens versus Rhodes. The 2 Royal Rumbles I thought were middle of the road, and the tag match I thought was a big letdown. So yeah, but overall, it's overall pretty much what I expect from a WWE show these days, and so probably won't be coming back for too much more this year.
Yeah, I mean, if the Royal Rumble isn't something that convinces you otherwise, then why would you be tuning into Elimination Chamber or something? Yeah. Again, I'm not going to go through everything that happened in the Royal Rumble. If you want to go there, you can check either the Ring Report, or you can check eWrestling News, or obviously you can check Smark Out Moment. I went through and I did as much work as I possibly could do already. I have not crunched the numbers for the women's times because we don't have those numbers yet. Like, Wikipedia is usually the best resource for that, and I'm not seeing any anything that, like, not even Roxanne is listed on there yet, and spoiler alert, she had the longest time. So that is going to be on the back burner, which means that by default the whole like predictions contest side of things has to be on the back burner. Can't tell who wins unless we know what the answers are for this thing. So keep that in mind, that I will at some point like go through and kind of crunch the rest of those numbers and all. You'll see that on the statistics page on smarkoutmoment.com, which I do have all the numbers and everything up to the Royal Rumble for the men, and that, again, I'll be able to do like the most eliminations and all that stuff. I'm going to do that afterward because nobody really wants to watch me do that on the podcast. I'm not going to be sitting here just typing and looking up stupid stuff when we're doing that. But we will talk about all those different things, and we will, break down some of the numbers game on that front. So stay tuned for the Fantasy League update at some point. I see we have some people in chat chatting it up. We got Peter, we got Daniel, we got Josh, we got Calix. So all the people tuning in, if I don't see the messages, the super chat's the best way to make me go like, oh, something happened. But chat it up, even if I'm not acknowledging it, have some fun. We got to start off with the well, technically, we can start off with the pre-show and say that nothing happened on the pre-show. I was disappointed that they didn't show the little Tumblr thing like we were talking about on that last episode of the hot tags and all. But they had some fun moments here and there, but talking about like Wade Barrett got his Papa Shango joke in that he does every single year, where he says that Papa Shango is going to show up in the Royal Rumble and all. and they showed footage of everybody else's experiences, like the Michael Cole thing with Karma and all. So yeah, I mean, it's a pre-show. It doesn't need to be 2 hours of them talking, but was what it was. So the first match of the night was the Women's Royal Rumble, as we kind of anticipated. And let me bring up my notes because I have too many things on my screen. I have too many things of tabs. The first note that I had written down as far as like a talking point was that, unfortunately for her, she's like number 5 or so, Lyra Valkyria comes out. And within 20 seconds or so, it seems, something happens where she has a wardrobe malfunction and she's struggling to get her top back on. And like, I think it was Liv had like, didn't realize that she was doing that. So she went over to like hit her, and Lyra had to like fall backward and be like, I gotta fix my top, kind of a thing. Referee Daphne LaShawn had to come out and help her out too and stuff. So that was like a bunch of people's attention just went straight to looking at that side of the ring. That was around the time that you guys were talking about the crowd being dead, and they woke up for that a little bit. There's moments
I wasn't talking about that. Wasn't when me and Rob were talking about the crowd being dead. That was the match after this one.
Oh, I thought there was. I'm reading too many chats throughout the night.
Because full transparency, I wasn't watching at this time because I just assumed, because I'm just so used to when WWE shows are on, they usually would be on at 1 o'clock in the morning my time, and this one started at 11 o'clock UK time, and so I hadn't started. I was watching something until about 11:30 when I realised that you guys were talking about it, and then I started watching the show and just started playing catch up from there. Really, so I was behind at this point, but I just kind of fast forwarded through a fair amount of the Women's Rumble, between like a few entrances, a few spots here and there, but just like, just use that to catch up instead. So I didn't notice.
Honestly, you didn't miss like specific spots, a lot of it, because it is a Royal Rumble. Like, most of the Royal Rumble is people just kind of standing around and punching each other and all. So, there were some moments here and there, but the first one that I wrote down other than the Lyra thing was the section with Chelsea trying to team up with the 4 black women superstars, which was like that Survivor Series thing where it was like R-Truth. It was like R-Truth, MVP, Shelton Benjamin, and Mark Henry or something, and Christian. And he's like, oh yeah, I mean, one of us is not like the other. I'm the only one who's Canadian or something, like, or from ECW. That's what it was. It was Bianca, Jada Parker, Naomi, Lash Legend, and Chelsea Green. Which, one of these things is not like the other. 1-by-1 entrances. Again, we're not going to talk 1-by-1, but I was like, hey, this is another one of these Royal Rumble moments where I guessed the number 1 correctly, and I was like, okay, I'm going to get them all. And then number 2 comes out, and it's Liv Morgan, and I'm like, all right, I got that one wrong. Never mind. But the first like surprise of that was, I guess it's not really that much of a surprise, but technically a surprise, was Roxanne Perez coming out at number 3. And though she's an NXT star right now, they've been basically saying she's moving up and all. So that was essentially a guarantee. Lyra, Chelsea, B-Fab. I'm kind of surprised that B-Fab got into this match considering how many spots were taken up by other people. And maybe they just went, hey, we got one more spot left. Who do we pick? And went with B-Fab.
They need someone to push as someone who potentially else can fight for the United States Championship instead of just Michin over and over and over again. So
even though she's definitely going to get another match because they did the DQ ending on SmackDown. Was it Ivy Nile next? Zoe Stark, Lash Legend. So Legend becomes the next NXT surprise and all. And Bianca Belair. At this point in the match, it's kind of reached like a level of like we're just like adding a lot of people, and not that like they needed to do any kind of eliminations necessarily to be like, okay, well, why are there any eliminations happening? But I was curious who they were like setting up to be the big person to change things around, because the only one by this point of number 10 being Bianca Belair, that had got eliminated was right before that B-Fab got tossed out by Chelsea. So you got 9 people in the ring, and that's usually a little bit higher than what WWE tends to do. They kind of, most of the time, stick around like that 7 mark, it seems. Lyra Valkyrie gets taken out. Bayley is next. You got Sonya, and you got Maxine. And Maxine gets a big moment with eliminating Ivy Nile. And then I'm getting eliminated right afterward, but I was surprised they gave her a little bit of a shout out there.
They think that she gets somewhat of a pop, and so I guess they decide to run with it.
Bigger pop than I was expecting.
And if you get a big pop with your entrance or your maneuvers, then who knows? Maybe one day you'll be main eventing WrestleMania, because this happened to one guy today.
Yeah, it's true. So Naomi's out, and then we see like Pure Fusion Collective had been the ones that took out Maxine Dupree, but now they've had their moment. So it's time to get rid of all of them at the same time. It's Bayley eliminated. Was it Shayna, I think? Yeah, Bayley. Well, Zoe gets taken out.
They're all just getting thrown out by basically a bunch of the baby faces. So there was like Bianca and Naomi, I think, eliminated one. Bayley eliminated another, and Io Sky eliminated the other one. So just like
it's like that Damage Control versus the 3 people that were feuding with Damage Control the most.
Basically 4 of the women that were in the War Games match earlier this year all decided to just pair up and take out the Pure Fusion Collective because they're such a huge threat on Raw.
Yeah, well, they eliminated one person, but the 3 of them teamed up to eliminate one. So you got to get them out immediately. Jada Parker, kind of a surprise there a little bit. Lash Legend taken out by Chelsea Green. And then Piper Niven comes out. So it's, Chelsea's going to get some help. But then Chelsea gets taken out by Piper. And I like that they do these kind of moments here and there. But I'm going to come back to this. And I'm going to say, I like when they do these, but not twice at a same Royal Rumble pay-per-view. Because there was a couple moments that they did it in the men's, and they had already done it in the women's, and I'm like, oh, okay, that somebody didn't realize that they already did that trope, or they said, fuck it, do it twice.
Yeah, it's just the guy in charge isn't a very creative booker or anything like that.
Number whatever we're on now, Natty was next, and then Jordan Grace. So we got the Jordan Grace entrance that we expected. No Masha Slamovich on this one, so I was wrong on that. Grace gets taken out by Jada Parker gets taken out by Jordan Grace. Okay, we got Meechin, and then we got another big surprise on here, since all the dirt sheets were talking about how this wasn't going to happen specifically, was Alexa Bliss.
Yeah, so again, this is one of those instances where like Dave's been hoodwinked by WWE insiders again, which is basically he's been told that there's this huge gap between Alexa Bliss and WWE in terms of contract negotiations. And so he's run with the report to say that at this point in time, it feels like, there's too much distance to the point where it feels like a return's not going to happen. And then lo and behold, the very next day, Alexa Bliss is back in WWE, clearly probably signed a contract weeks beforehand and was ready to go. And so, they just used that in order to build a bit more buzz, and they hammered it home in commentary about how you should never listen to the dirt sheets. They're just, that's the WWE PR machine at work, and obviously their PR that's a well-oiled machine. I think Dave, it's one of two things. Either Meltzer and some of these other people in like PW Insider and whatever, they either have to be a lot more wary about the sources they're getting from, and double and triple and quadruple check these things, because obviously WWE is going to try and feed you false information. They've shown multiple times now over the course of the last year or two that they're deliberately feeding false information in order to make them look bad. And
it's working too. Like almost every time they fall for it, hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, no, because they're just desperate for content. So, and this is the thing that I'm slightly more fearful of, but it's all speculation, that people like PWI and Meltzer are in on it, and they're just playing into WWE's hands, and they've just, I'd say that's the thing that I hope that's not the case, because that feels like really dirty to take that sort of approach. But it's happening so regularly that it's either they're really incompetent, or they're just in on it and they're just willing to make themselves look bad because WWE's making it worth their while.
So if that's really dirty, do they become the really dirty sheets? Is that how you level up?
Yeah,
And
it was either just regular incompetence or it's weaponized incompetence, and so that's the either way I'm looking at it. So, it happens enough times. You kind of feel like it's not just they're just bad at their jobs, because at that point it's just then.
I don't know. See, I lean more towards that they're probably just bad at their jobs, because I would think if WWE were to approach like a Meltzer and be like, hey, look, we kind of want to get this storyline over a little bit. Can you help us out by kind of like creating a little bit of buzz? I think they would do it more for like, not necessarily like a story, like a, oh, these two people are like fighting backstage type of a thing, but maybe more along those lines. I think they're more so like, hey, why don't you just tell everybody that like this isn't happening, and like you put a good word in, and Meltzer will pick it up, and then that's going to start spreading, and like we'll get him to do the dirty job for us and not even realize that he's doing it, But
it's effective in the way that obviously it made the return for Bliss a lot more exciting, and the crowd was super into her coming back. And she did a few spots, did some of her usual bits and pieces, but didn't do like anything super spectacular.
No, I mean she wasn't
she wasn't even there for that long, really. So
I was very surprised to see her. I took her off of my list before locking everything in. I only know the people that I know for a fact that I got right on this were number 1 and number 30. The rest I haven't checked yet, but I was like, okay, I remember when I put them there. But I didn't have Bliss at all. So one of the people that I thought was going to be in this obviously was not in there. And the same happened with Zelina Vega, who was next. I thought that Zelina was injured, so I was like, she's not on my list. Well, there you go. And I already have her down as potential best wardrobe outfit, whatever of the year, because she had whatever that cosplay was, and like she always does a cool job with that. We got Candice LeRae, we got Stephanie McCurr. Didn't have her on my list. I was like, all right, well, it's cool to see her in there. They really like her. We have some buzz on the main roster, certainly going to help NXT a little bit. And then Trish Stratus comes out, and I'm like, all right, didn't have Trish at all, like not remotely on my list. And people went nuts for Trish, as per usual.
Yeah, as you'd expect. So yeah, it's nice to see like some legendary names turn up, because then at the moment, and then when you get to that point, you're starting kind of counting the remaining names and thinking, okay, well, the one that's obvious, like, okay, we know Charlotte's coming and we know Nia's coming at some point as well. So, like, okay, when's Becky coming? And then we just carry on down the remaining ones.
And it was like, I'm catching some stuff here and there, and I forgot to mention, like, I wrote down, I liked Jordan Grace's Death Valley Driver. She did a Piper Niven. That was a good moment for her. I thought it was kind of interesting that they did the little thing where Bianca was mad at Naomi and Jordan Grace embracing in the ring. Like, she was like, she pulls Jordan Grace like, what? Who the fuck are you? You're not my tag team partner, and why are you hugging this other person? I thought that was a good moment. I had just written down Bliss and all with question marks. Then I wrote down Vega with question marks. Then I wrote down Vicaire and Stratus and whatever. Things slowed down a little bit after that, where Raquel came into the ring, and then they're like, all right, we need to get some eliminations. So Natty taken out by Liv, Bliss taken out by Liv, and just as she's building momentum, Charlotte Flair comes out at lucky number 27. And as if I wasn't already banking on Flair winning, I was like, all right, she's 27. They haven't done 27 in a long time, but it's more than enough time now that somebody should give that the extra bump. Because it was not the most winningest spot for the past few years. That was number 30.
Well, yeah, number 30 should be the most winningest spot,
it should
realistically. But yeah, I mean, to be honest, it became quite obvious immediately, like with the let's say number 27 so late in the Rumble, coming out in the full robe thing, just sauntering down to the ring, pyro, all the works associated with it as well. And basically the commentary pretty much saying, oh, the Queen's back and the game's changed and all this other stuff. So it's like, okay, here's your winner. We just need to go through the motions for the next 15 minutes or so, but we've already this is the winner. Just get on with it, really. So yeah, I think I thought from that point, especially when we go through like the remaining people left, it was like, okay, it's pretty obvious that Charlotte Flair's winning this thing now. So.
Right? Yeah, and she comes out, she does her thing for a little bit. They have to have some quick eliminations basically from her. So she takes out Michin, she takes out Piper Niven. Julia is next, so active NXT Women's Champion goes in. And at this point, I'm looking and I'm going, wait, it's just 2 names left. And I knew we needed Nia because she had been confirmed. I was expecting Jade. I was expecting Becky. I was expecting the slight potential of AJ Lee, even though I was like, she's probably not. And I know tons of people, myself included, would have been like, oh, like, great, this is fucking awesome because we really want AJ Lee. But I was like, no, I'm pretty sure Nikki Bella needs to come out here just based off of all that stuff. And then I was like, oh, Vakur and Julia are out there, but they should kind of put Zarya out there if they do that with her. And then I'm thinking, who else are we missing on the main roster? We're missing, and I started going down the list of all those people and being like, well, they're not going to have Elektra Lopez come out at number 30. You know what I mean? So that's like 7 people that need to fit in 2 spots. And I just started, at that point, I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention. I'm racking through the numbers going, okay, well, if it's not Becky and it's not Jade, it's probably so-and-so. Nia Jax comes out, and then all hell breaks loose with me trying to do 3 different, screens worth of stuff and God knows how many tabs, because Jax takes out Zelina Vega, Trish takes out Candice, Jax takes out Trish. By that time, number 30 comes out, it's Nikki Bella, and I'm like, okay, that means all these other people aren't in there. Raquel, Vakur, Naomi, Io, and Bianca are all eliminated at the same time by Nia. Right after that, Liv Morgan gets taken out, and I'm like, oh my God, I can't keep track of all this crap. Did they just forget that they would need to like do these and then went, and everybody goes out? I think that might have been the most amount of eliminations in one successive thing.
Well, that's exactly what they were going for, was to say that Nia Jax eliminated more people in one fell swoop than anybody else in history. Because that's, again, it's one of the things that I just dislike the most about these modern day Royal Rumbles, and I mean ones from like the last few years in particular. There always needs to be some sort of history making moment or record in them. It's like, just have a fucking Rumble match and just tell a story about the actual Rumble. Build a load of matches for WrestleMania through the Rumble like you used to. Don't just get... Because in this one we had... They hammered home about the fact that Nia Jax is now the record setter in terms of Rumble eliminations.
Yeah, she is at 28, I believe.
Yeah. And she eliminated 9 people in this one match. So that's probably the most that anyone's eliminated in the singles match for the women's. Yeah. I don't know in particular, but it's definitely would be high up there. That's like nearly a third of the entire field.
Yeah, the record before was 8.
Yeah, so they've done that. And then they also...
Remember everybody, Smark Moments statistics page. I update this shit.
Yeah. And then they pushed the fact that, like, I'll just eliminate all those people in one go. You had, and so we'll get to at the end about, like, they had 3 women in this match beat the record for the longest time in a women's Royal Rumble match.
Yeah, they started off with Bayley at an hour and... I'll look on the handy dandy page. An hour and 3 minutes. And they even got the statistic wrong when they were saying it, which was funny.
Well, it's just remarkable to me. Like, I looked at the thing to see, like, the final time for this match is 1 hour and 10 minutes and 20 seconds. Like, what the fuck are you doing for, like, these Rumbles are so much longer than they used to be. I'm not even saying, like, we should go back to, certainly not go back to, like, the 95 thing where it's just, like, people just coming out every 30 seconds, you have no idea who they are and then just get chucked out. But... and it's wrapped up in a tight half an hour, 45 minutes. But they used to just be, it's an hour long thing, like an hour long Rumble. And these ones are now going 70, 80 plus minutes. It's like, crazy.
I'm telling you, I think we're going to reach a point where they're going to ump it to 40. And it's just going to be 40 as the standard. But there is a chance that they at some point do another 50 man. And You know,
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they did that for the last Royal Rumble that was in Saudi. So maybe the next Royal Rumble's in Saudi. They decide, oh, the Prince wants to have 50 people. Maybe he wants 60. Maybe he wants 100 people in the Royal Rumble instead.
Maybe it's 60 so that they can say like it's double the Royal Rumble or whatever, and then they can just literally do 4 Royal Rumbles or 2 Royal Rumbles, and that's the whole pay-per-view. And you know.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll continue on until the end next. Like Nikki came out at number 30, as was to be expected.
And that's around like the time that Jax was just like, you know, here's 9 people eliminated almost immediately. So I was a little bit surprised about Liv Morgan getting taken out in that group. And they also had taken out Bianca in that group. And I was like, there goes one of my final 4 and one of my potential final 4s.
See, I remember like when I was listening to, because obviously I was on the Royal Rumble prediction podcast and listening to you and Rob talk about it, and I just thought, why do you both have Bianca in your final 4? It's like she's a tag wrestler. But
I figured would be one of those that you could say she's always within the discussion, and she's maybe like the 3rd eliminated to the land or so. And I thought that maybe there was a chance that they were thinking Bianca and Rhea, even though I was like, that's probably not.
Because it just surprised me, because I just thought, oh, both of you put Bianca in your final 4, and neither of you, I think, put Nia Jax in there. So I just thought, well, they're building Nia Jax as like the dominant force in this entire thing, so of course she's going to be in the final 4. She's the giant that Charlotte has to eliminate or Becky has to eliminate to win the Royal Rumble. So yeah, I just thought, I mean, as I say, I wasn't a bit. I definitely would have had Nia in my final 4, but I would have had Becky in there as well. And obviously, Becky didn't even show up for the event. Yeah.
So the Becky pick, it's replaced by the Nikki Bella entrance, and then I wouldn't have anticipated it at all, but Roxanne Perez in the final 4, and we get to a point, you know, where like Julia's taken out by Roxanne. Okay, that's further in that story of NXT and all. Bayley taken out by Nikki. Didn't see that coming. I figured that had to be a Roxanne elimination, but sure, let's go Nikki Bella instead for some fucking reason. And it ends up, you know, Nikki's taken out by Nia, Nia's taken out by Flair, and I'm like, wow, okay, we're going Roxanne being the runner-up against Flair. Did not see that coming.
No,
and started to write up that Flair one, you know.
Well, to be fair, again, look, you can talk about the quote-unquote lack of creativity, but it's actually kind of similar to what we'll talk about in the men's one, which was a outright favourite against someone who no one anticipated being in the final 2 of the Royal Rumble, and then having those 2 go up against each other. And in this one, they went the route of, well, the outright favourite just wins. And it wasn't even a case of like, oh, they did a big back and forth thing where it felt like it. No, it's kind of like Charlotte just put her on the apron and then just eliminated her pretty quickly. So it wasn't really even much jeopardy about it. It was like, okay, Charlotte's just better, and threw her out pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Or kicked her out, to be more accurate. But
yeah. Still surprising. I mean, that's shows definitely
that they have faith in Roxanne moving forward, and they want to position her somewhat highly, at least going into when she does make the official move up to the main roster, presumably like probably post WrestleMania, or maybe even have like a WrestleMania match against Bayley or something, but who knows.
I could see them being like, hey, can we make her the female Daniel Bryan, where it's like the underdog that people are going to get behind because of her in-ring skills more than anything else, and then we could have her like go to the main roster, eventually turn babyface, and then build her up to like maybe she wins Royal Rumble next year or something like that.
She's gonna have to get better at promos if that's what their intention. If that's their intention,
or you know, change her character back to that stupid "I've got anxiety" element of that. I hated that so much. But yeah, Charlotte becomes the first 2-time women's Royal Rumble winner, so that's another record thing that they wanted to do. And I am fully on the Charlotte's going to challenge Tiffany Stratton side of it, and that one's like we'll talk about the opposite for the other one, where I don't know what the hell they're doing with the men's, but that's where I think the women's is going.
Yeah, that's almost certainly seems to be the case. That seems to be the story that's going around, and I'd have no reason to suggest otherwise. I don't think she's going to go up against Rhea again.
Right.
I think that they'll separate that one out. And also, I think there's part of the reason is that I know I've seen the reports, and again, I don't know, you can always like now take these all with a pinch of salt, as we've seen, but about how Charlotte's kind of like demanding, or at least like very vocal about the fact that she wants to be a baby face in the match going into WrestleMania. And so it's probably with the mindset of, I can't really go up against Rhea, because Rhea is one of the top baby faces now. So if I go up against her, then I'm obviously going to be viewed as the heel. The issue being that once she realises she'll go into WrestleMania, she's going to be the heel. The crowd are going to treat her like the heel against Tiffany Stratton.
There's no way.
I mean, it doesn't help with the fact that like they've now decided like let's do the Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton feud, even though Nia Jax spent most of the last month on Raw. She's now back on SmackDown, and now she's going to feud with Tiffany Stratton, and they're probably going to have a match at Elimination Chamber for the women's title,
which is just going to put Tiffany as the babyface in that even more. So then people are going to be accustomed to chanting for Tiffany Stratton as Charlotte's like, screw you, and then people go boo, and she'll be like, well, damn it, now me again.
Yeah, I think she should just like she needs to. I don't know why she just again. It's just depending on whether these reports are true or not. But if these reports are true, I don't know why she doesn't just embrace the fact that people hate her. Really, and but it is. Well, I'd say as her character, not as like. I'm not talking about Ashley here. I'm talking about Charlotte. But it's like, just embrace the fact that. Just embrace the fact that that even though you've been gone for a year, realistically, no one's excited that you're back, and that like literally a month after you'll be back, they're kind of gonna wish that you're gone again, and so just embrace that and be the heel, and use that to power yourself forward, because trying to force yourself down their throats as a babyface again, you've tried that multiple times and it's never ever worked. So you know, we'll see how it goes, but yeah, that's the obvious WrestleMania match.
Yeah. I'm at this point in the show, I'm watching whatever it is that they're airing afterward, and I'm like, okay, let me start doing some more of my statistics lists and all, and trying to see, well, when it's not going to end, when I'm caught up as much as I could be caught up. Spoiler alert, it ended during the ladder match. So when it came to the next match, which was the 2 out of 3 falls WWE tag team title match, DIY and Motor City Machine Guns go out there, and I'm thinking this was a match I was really excited to see and all, and I missed a good portion of it because I was typing, and then like, okay, I missed that move, okay, whatever. What I did see, though, to be honest, was not as impressed as I thought it was going to be. Like, it wasn't like it was bad, that what I was watching, but I was like, this had potential to be great, and it just wasn't.
No, so like my worries were immediate as soon as like I heard the entrances come out, and like literally there was nobody reacting to either team coming out. As soon as they started to appear, it was very, very quiet. I know that a Royal Rumble had just happened, so there's obviously a lot of excitement, and they spend a lot of energy in that one because, again, this show was the epitome of me and the epitome of the statement that people make about the fact that WWE fans only care about entrances, finishes, and catchphrases. Whereas, and they don't care about the wrestling, and so they just had a whole match where they could just cheer the entrances and the eliminations, and now they had actual wrestling in front of them. And then, oh, fuck off! Well, why are you showing me wrestling on this wrestling show?
Yeah, and why are you just like punching in the corner right now?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, can we end this? Can we end these 2 out of 3 falls match by just throwing them over the top rope the first time? That's one fall, and then there's.
Or it's like they do the DIY gets the first fall, and everybody's like, okay, well then who's next coming out? Is it a gauntlet, an elimination gauntlet?
Oh, so the first fall happens, and then they go out, and then they do their entrance again, so they can cheer them again, and then they start. But yeah. So the first fall happens in like
pretty soon.
4 minutes, yeah, and it's also like pretty well. I understand it in terms of like it being a clever thing. In terms of they do the spot where Johnny Gargano goes for a tag, but Ciampa deliberately misses the tag. So I think it was Alex Shelley still thinks that Gargano's the legal man, tries to go for him, but then Ciampa just hits a pretty like tame running knee and pins him after that. And I just thought, that didn't look that impactful.
I wasn't even paying attention when that happened because it just didn't feel like in the momentum of the match that was like, okay, a finisher's probably coming up soon or something. Like,
well, it's hard to really tell what the momentum of the match was. The crowd never actually gave you any indication about that stuff either, especially not early on. And also, I think that's also like just a problem generally with 2 out of 3 falls matches. In the first fall, realistically, doesn't matter at all. There's no stakes in the first fall because the match is still going to continue. So at the end of the day, they're not super invested in seeing it happen, especially when it happens that quickly in the match.
Yeah.
So I think the crowd was a bit unexpecting of that, and it kind of told in the reaction. And then they continue, and they do a lot of the next fall is all about heel shtick, pretty much, which is just Gargano and Ciampa cutting the ring in half and doing everything in their power to, whenever Shelley was close to make a tag to Sabin, to either go onto the other side of the ring, and like Ciampa at one point crawls under the ring and tries to pull Sabin off, but then ends up distracting the referee, and so they do make the tag, but the referee didn't see it, and so they keep double teaming him until Shelley can finally make the hot tag, and then it's just pretty much like, you know, your standard fare before the machine guns hit their finisher, whatever it's called, I can't remember off the top of my head, but
yeah, I'm blanking on it right now too.
Yeah, but they hit
some kind of a gun thing or something, I think. No, I don't know.
But they hit their finisher at the Skull and Bones. That's it.
Skull and Bones, yeah, some death thing.
Yeah, they hit their finisher and pinned Gargano, and then we're level 1-1, and then the crowd starts to get a little bit more invested because now it's the 1 fall to finish. Yeah, now it's an actual match, and they've got 1 fall to finish, and they do some better stuff here. The match does pick up a little bit, and the crowd does get a little bit excited, and then, you know, as WWE is will to do from time to time, rather than have an exciting finish of it, let's have the Street Profits come out and just hit the Motor City Machine Guns and not cause DQ, but cause them to lose the match to Gargano and Ciampa, but then also then attack Gargano and Ciampa because essentially the big explanation in commentary, which is, the Street Profits don't like DIY, but they want to make sure that they're the team that beat DIY, so they had to make sure DIY retain their titles for that to happen.
I never ever liked that philosophy. I can't remember a single feud in history that I've ever been like, it makes sense for that guy to want his rival to stay champion so that he could beat him instead of the other one or something. Like, never liked that.
Yeah, the perfect way for the Street Profits to guarantee that they'll be in a triple threat or four-way match at WrestleMania for the Tag Team Championship.
Yeah, instead of just winning a tag title match and getting it on their own or something.
Yeah, or just letting the Motor City come to win and then just say, okay, we'll beat up DIY because they beat us up, and we'll earn a title shot at Elimination Chamber or SmackDown or WrestleMania or whatever and win the titles there. Because not have to beat the team that beat us up, having now also beat up the team that we didn't beat up, but now obviously because they beat us, we beat them up, they're going to want to beat us up in our tag team title match, which means we won't win the titles either, and that means that we'll eventually have to get into a triple threat match anyway. So good job, Street Profits. Really intelligent stuff there. That's real WWE logic right there being demonstrated.
Yeah, it's not an ending that I'm a fan of. I was looking for a better match overall from what I had seen, and I was looking for a match that was just sort of one of them wins. And I should have figured that they would do something like that. But Street Profits will have a match with Motor City Machine Guns. They'll be mad about that. You cost us that, so they'll have a grudge match and blah blah blah. You know, we'll do that dance. Ladder match afterward. Cody Rhodes retains over Kevin Owens in a good match. I mean, that was a fun part of the night for sure. I liked the fact that like the end of it was a spot, but it was a simple enough spot. You just like that Alabama slam looked like he slammed down on there. And I was like, good. Yeah, I wouldn't get up, you know?
Yeah, there's nothing more gruesome than Kevin Owens in a ladder match because he takes some disgusting bumps during these ones for some reason, which is the Alabama Slam obviously being the top one of it. But I also remember Cody doing like a backboard drop out of a pole driver attempt and Kevin Owens just landing like back first onto a fallen ladder. And it's just like, oh my God, like how does your back actually survive all this stuff? But But yeah, I thought this was the best match of the night. You know, it's just two guys that just know good pro wrestling, but fit it within the WWE style of things to make it still entertaining to the masses there. And they were just beating the shit out of each other for a long time. It was more like, you know, we see a lot of like spot heavy ladder matches, and there were plenty of spots in this match, but it was like, okay, we're going to have a grudge match and a violent match that will occasionally involve us hitting each other with ladders instead, like more of that old school approach. And it seemed like Kevin Owens was going to take it at some point. We had the spot where they did the Fisherman Buster onto the ladder bridge, where then you have Nick Aldis and referees come out because both guys look hurt, and Sami Zayn's out there as well. And then you start thinking, okay, is Sami going to get involved in this as well? But he's just there to kind of give a bit of moral support. Then Cody goes absolutely wild on Kevin Owens and busts him open. So that was good to see as well. Just like
furthering that idea about him becoming more like unhinged and
yeah, exactly. And Kevin just drawing him up to that level, and so they're beating the shit out of him on the announce table. Kevin hits low blow, goes for the package pole driver. Rhodes escapes it, hits the Alabama slam, and then climbs up and takes the titles down. It took a while to do it. It was kind of like a weird, because you just feel, okay, what's going to happen? Is someone else going to get involved, or is Sami going to actually just jump in and do something, or is Kevin going to get back up? Because it was quite a while before Cody got up there, but they just kept the camera still, did that, and Cody just got up and took down the titles. So
with the referee's help a little bit, because it was wiggling, so he had to hold it. That's not the first time that's happened recently.
I'm sure Billy Ray won't mention that on the next Busted Open radio show. Like,
we'll see about that.
Because it had the wrong letters around the ring, so you can't really talk about it when it's that stuff involved. So, I think that. I thought that it was a great match between those two. I think these two have had nothing but really good to great matches in this rivalry. It's pretty much like two ahead now. And I'd say that I know Rob just was putting in the chat about how Cody didn't appear at the post-show press conference.
Oh, he didn't?
Yeah, and was talking about how they're kind of teasing the idea that Cody might not be cleared. So I assume it's just a storyline thing, because it feels like quite early to make that sort of announcement if he wasn't actually cleared. Right. You'd wait a little while to actually, okay, let's test him and see what he's looked like medically. But I think they're just probably going to rule him out maybe for a month or so, or just say like, okay, we don't know. And realistically, the winner of the Royal Rumble isn't probably actually going to be the guy that's challenging him at the moment anyway. So.
So it gives you a means to not have Cody have to wrestle for a little bit and drag it out to come back to that later, because that person's going to win the Elimination Chamber most likely and all.
Yeah. So we'll see what if that follows up with anything else. But I thought this was a great match, and I think it did well for Cody as well, because I know there's always been a bit of, well, especially with this feud, because of the kind of, I guess, the genuine grievance that Kevin Owens had, that could have babyfaced him a bit much towards Cody. But I think actually Cody showing a lot more aggression in this match was something the crowd got behind a lot more, and helped him feel even more like the top babyface when he actually got the win in the end. So I thought this was a good job all round.
Yeah. That, of course, then led final match of the night, Royal Rumble for the men's side. Starting off, Rey Mysterio and Penta, which was like, okay, we're going in that direction. We get it.
That would have been my prediction for 1 and 2 as well.
So would you have done the same, like Rey out first and then Penta's the surprise? Or would you have gone Penta out first and then like, oh, and shit, it's Rey? Like,
I think I probably would have gone Penta 1 probably instead of, and Rey number 2, because I think that, I mean, it's much of a muchness really, but I just think that maybe like having Penta number 1, you have a bit more of a recent crowd pop, because he's the new guy appearing, and so he'd get a pop, and then you have Rey Mysterio, and it's like, oh my god, it's Rey Mysterio against Penta, that's gonna be great, rather than, oh, Rey Mysterio's out, and it's like, okay, we like Rey, but it's Rey, and he's been around forever, and it's and then Penta comes out, it's like, oh wow, this is great, so you almost get like a double pop the other way. So I'd say that was the optimal way of doing it, but yeah, either way. this was the 1 and 2 that you probably would have wanted.
And then the person who's got the luchador problem right now comes out next, Chad Gable. Then Carmelo Hayes, Santos Escobar, Otis, which I was like, did not have Otis on mine. That's somebody I got to take off.
This was well, as soon as Otis came out, I was worried about this Rumble. And the reason why I've said these ones a bit of middle road is this one is that I think for the first half of this Rumble, I was bored shitless. So, and we'll get into other bits about it. There was only one redeeming two redeeming qualities of the first half of the Rumble, but we'll get into that when they appear. Well, actually, the first one is the next person that appeared, which is Bron Breakker. Yeah, Bron Breakker
comes in and he tosses out Carmelo Hayes super fast, and I was like, "Oh, I don't like that."
Yeah. Also, again, I'm also thinking that you and Rob are just overstating how you think they value Carmelo Hayes.
I thought that they valued him a lot more. Like, I thought he was going to be like, next United States champion level, and it's like, no, they clearly like Braun way better overall.
I've said it like for the last year or so, but I'll say, and even as someone who doesn't really watch WWE before confidence, Trick Williams will be a mid-card champion and a much higher ceiling star than Carmelo Hayes ever will be in WWE.
Santos Escobar taken out by Bron Breakker as well. And then Akira Tozawa comes out, and I'm like, something's got to be up here. Like, they can't have Otis and Akira Tozawa. And then he gets attacked by Carmelo Hayes, and I'm like, I mean, it doesn't off the, wash the stink off the Carmelo Hayes elimination. But I can see at least you wanted to do something with him, so it's not the worst case scenario.
But it wasn't. But you didn't. It wasn't the case you wanted to do something with him. It's the case that you wanted to make sure that Akira Tozawa gets taken out, so you could put a celebrity into the Royal Rumble.
And it's iShow Speed, and I'm like, I don't follow iShow Speed. I don't know if I would like him or not. You
wouldn't.
I doubt it. He seems like the type of like YouTuber that like I don't follow YouTubers.
He's akin to like he's one of those like Kai Cenats or Logan Paul is in a similar field to that one, KSI, those type of people. So it's like
I've never followed an account like that. The closest thing I've ever followed like that is like Comics Explained. It's whatever.
To ISOSP's credit, I think that he's an interesting character and personality in terms of he just goes out and does a lot of, now that he's obviously done that level of notoriety, he goes out and does some quite interesting stuff now. And he's very athletic as well. I mean, the idea of the name that iShow Speed is the fact that like he's a very, very quick runner. And he does a lot more of like athletic stuff as well. So I think that, him just being in a WWE ring made sense. And, he got to do a few little bits and pieces. He came out, like, as the commentary pointed out, he came out in like Crocs, like no actual gear or anything like that sorted. He just, he goes out, tries to eliminate Chad Gable, doesn't manage it, then helps Bron Breakker eliminate Otis. And then, does the Ronaldo pose, because he does that. That's what he's like partly famous for. And then Bron Breakker spears it out of him, which was great. That was a great spear.
Just wrecked him.
Because that was one of my favorite spears of all time, because it just looked like what you would actually, like an actual human being taking a spear. With like, I'm absolutely not prepared for this. I'm just gonna have to let this guy just knock me down. And then he gets tossed out onto Otis, who then, rather than putting back, who catches him, but then rather than putting him back in the ring, just tosses him onto the announce table and onto the floor. So,
all right.
So that was a fun moment.
Yeah. Sheamus is out next. Jimmy Uso, Andrade, and Jacob Fatu, who goes on a little bit of an elimination spree, takes out Chad Gable, Rey Mysterio, and Andrade. So very quickly, Andrade in and out. Kaiser comes out next, and he dawdles a little bit and then gets immediately eliminated by Penta. They were like, oh my god, is that a record? It's like, that wasn't 1 second, but I still think that's kind of shitty. Like, Ludwig Kaiser just going in and out like a joke.
It's Ludwig Kaiser. It doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things.
I think it would have played better if it would have been the next guy, because the next guy was The Miz. And it's like, have The Miz do that comedy spot where he looks like an ass. I love The Miz, but still. Then number 15, Joe Hendry, one of the bigger, like, surprise moments for people that aren't people like us, where we're like, okay, it's going to be Joe Hendry in this. It should be. I was more surprised by the fact that Roman came out next at 16 than I was that Joe Hendry was in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, it was kind of like a case of like when 16 hit, I just thought, okay, now the Rumble's starting.
It's a reset.
Well, because it just felt all the other people. That was because that first half of the Rumble was so mid-card.
Very mid-card heavy.
So you had Bron Breakker, which is fine, but he's the kind of one of the kings in the mid-card right now as the Intercontinental Champion. You had Jacob Fatu, who's going to be elevated, but right now he's still in and around that mix. You just thought, oh, okay, this is like, there's not really that much star power on this. Because I know the star power is coming, but it's like, okay, okay, I've sat through this for now. Like, when are we actually going to get some people coming? And then Roman Reigns comes out, so at least that was something. Just thought, okay, now the second half of the Rumble's going to be a bigger deal than the first half. Yeah, and it was in a way, but in some certain ways, it's still lacked in places. But we can carry on.
Yeah, so Roman takes out Miz, Sheamus, Joe Hendry, Braun Breaker, Jimmy Uso gets taken out Jacob Fatu, Drew McIntyre comes out next, followed by Finn Balor, then Shinsuke. Finn Balor has a new theme. It doesn't suit him to me. Jey Uso comes out next, so people around the same level: Balor, Nakamura, Jey Uso. And Shinsuke's out already by Jay, pretty quickly. AJ Styles comes out next, so that's good. He is back and ready to go. Braun Strowman comes out, has this whole thing with Jacob Fatu. He takes him out, so they're continuing that feud. Mm-hmm. So overall, a good showing for Jacob Fatu. I mean, he was on top for a good portion of it.
Yeah, got one of the most highest elimination totals, so they did decide to feature him heavily, and they were bigging him up a lot on commentary about how just dominant and resilient he was, and yeah, I imagine he'll have another match with Braun Strowman. I mean, that could even be a WrestleMania match, really, because if they even stretch it out a long enough time,
it could be like a gimmick, like a Last Man Standing or something.
Yeah, and it seemed like the crowd was still into that idea after the showing at Saturday night's main event. So yeah, but yeah, I think there's a very high ceiling, obviously, for Jacob Fatu. So
yeah, so he gets a really good spot. Peter in the chat mentioned something, I forgot to bring it up. AJ Styles came out to his old theme, which I was like, good. I hate that new theme. And it was like, it's more recognizable. Like, I didn't have to turn around even right then to be like, okay, oh shit, AJ, 23 is John Cena. He takes out Braun Strowman, takes out Finn Balor. So he gets his quick, establish my dominance. And then it's followed by CM Punk and then Seth Rollins. So everybody's like, okay, now all the big guys are all one after another. The dominoes are stacking up. And then Dominic Mysterio.
Yeah.
And that was so funny to do it that way.
Well, that was the thing. Is like what happens is that like John Cena eliminates 2 people, and then he has to stare down with Roman Reigns, and then they're having to stare down, and then CM Punk comes out, and CM Punk walks down to the ring. Yeah, everyone else has to lay around for ages while this is happening as well. But they're standing around, and then CM Punk comes in, and they have a freeway stare down, but they have to still stand there wait until the countdown goes, because the idea is that Rollins comes out so they can then start fighting as like the 4 of them. So I think they probably had to do some clock manipulation there in order 100%. To make that happen. Yeah, but yeah, that was. I mean, they were like the 4 kind of big favorite guys going into this match, so they had to make sure that they all got their big spot against each other.
And Dom is followed by Sami Zayn, Damian Priest, LA Knight. And again, I was like, okay, well, there's only one spot left, so we know who number 30 is going to be. Logan Paul. Dom's taken out by Priest, Zayn's taken out by Jay, and we have like a final 6, 7 or so, but you can already go, okay, well, Damian Priest is going to get taken out of this. LA Knight's going to get taken out. I doubt that AJ Styles is going to win this. Somewhere's going to get, Jay. Somewhere's going to get Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and all that. So we're kind of down to Cena and Punk. That's how I was like boiling it down in my brain. And lo and behold, it starts going on like that. It's like, okay, Drew McIntyre's taken out by Damian Priest taken out by LA Knight by AJ Styles by Logan Paul. I'm like, all right, the dominoes are falling exactly how I would picture. And then Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns are taken out by Punk, who then gets taken out by Logan Paul. And I go, okay, there goes my number 1, my number 2, and my number 4. And 3 out of my 4 final 4s. Holy shit.
Yeah, so I think in the meantime, we should talk about how they had Logan Paul but essentially do a Kofi Kingston spot of having like hang over the ring, and then he jumps onto the announce table.
I was hoping that he was going to fall.
Yeah, but and then he just walks along the guardrail, gets onto the ring steps, and then uses that to eliminate AJ Styles when he's attempting to go for the phenomenal forearm from the outside, and then they all come in, and then it's the final 6. I thought, okay, this is pretty expected final 6. You just you have the 4 big guys that everyone was talking about, and then Logan Paul is number 30 and a heat magnet, and then Jey Uso, who's like a super over mid-card, top upper mid-card guy. So it's like, okay, put them all against each other. And then they all battle each other for a while, and then they do the big Roman and Rollins stare down. And they thought, okay, we'll have them fight for a little while, but they go close to the apron, and then Punk is able to eliminate both of them at once. Okay, that's interesting, because that's obviously 2 big names they'll eliminate immediately. And then Logan is immediately eliminating CM Punk as well. And then he falls down, and then the focus shifts to the outside, where Rollins goes crazy, essentially, and stomps Roman on the floor, is beating up CM Punk on the outside, then stomps Roman at the steel steps, attacks Punk some more, then ends up stomping away. Punk is upset with Heyman about all this. I thought that he was going to do some damage to Roman as well, but so yeah, they're planting different seeds for where this could potentially go, because everyone was thinking, okay, in some form or fashion it's going to be Punk and Roman at WrestleMania, but now Seth has just destroyed Roman, and I think that was again, we'll have to wait and see. I'm not saying add this to your list or anything along those lines yet, but I think that could be seeds for the heel turn.
It probably should be a heel turn for somebody in there.
I think
if it's not Rollins, that's a little bit more suspicious, but yeah.
I think it's a Seth heel turn. I think Seth is going to form some kind of strange alliance with McIntyre and Kevin Owens. Yeah. As this anti-Roman Reigns alliance, and obviously Punk's caught in the middle of all of this. So I think it could be this weird thing where actually the match at WrestleMania is a triple threat between Seth, Roman, and Punk.
It could be, I don't know. That's
with them all kind of in a different side of things, where Roman's obviously got his still aligned to bloodline people like the Usos and Sami Zayn, whereas Seth's got the backing of McIntyre and Owens, and Punk's just on his own island but just wants to fight both these guys. So
right.
So yeah, but it's odd that obviously they're all just eliminated straight away, and then the final 3 is Cena,
John Cena, Logan Paul, and Jey Uso, and I'm okay, well, Jay's gonna go out next, and then Logan Paul and John Cena are gonna be the final 2. John Cena takes out Logan Paul. Well, Logan Paul gets taken out, and that's just Cena and Uso, and I'm starting to type out, wow, they're really giving it to Jay here. It's making him look great to be number 2, because John Cena's gonna win. Jey Uso wins. I have no fucking idea where they're going with Jey Uso for WrestleMania.
Yeah, so this is pretty bizarre, because they have Cena eliminate Logan Paul. I thought, okay, so they have the Jey Uso thing. It's okay, we know how popular Jay is, and the Eats thing is super over, and we saw the crowd bouncing to his entrance at the start of it as well. Just okay, but just have them fight Cena. Cena will get an AA at some point and just throw him out, and they did the spot them just battling on the apron and Cena getting him up for the AA, but Uso manages to escape and then just fall backward and push Cena off simultaneously and win the Rumble. And it's the opposite of the earlier match where they have the obvious favourite won the match. Is the case okay, this time it looked like the obvious favourite was about to win, and then they had the underdog get the victory instead. And maybe I'm guessing the whole idea of this one was to present this is the most shocking Royal Rumble winner in history.
Might be.
And it's because I can't remember one where obviously it's not it's not I don't know if JD McDonough or Otis had won this Royal Rumble, but it's Jay's obviously a push commodity, but all no, he was probably 7th, 8th, 9th on people's list out of the 30 people that are on this to win. And it's like, okay, that's a bit of a crazy outsider and like a real dark horse winning the Rumble. But my kind of, I mean, to be fair, like I watched that, and then as soon as I saw the result, I just burst out laughing because they're prone to do so when I feel like WWE have done something stupid, because I just kind of find that hilarious.
Anytime, yeah.
Yeah, but I just think, like, I know he's got the super over entrance, and I know the Yeet thing is over, and the crowd just loves him and enjoys him, but the bell has to ring at some point, and Jay has never had really great singles match. Maybe actually, I take that back. Maybe a couple here and there, but he's not a consistently high level singles worker. He is a top level tag team wrestler that is been put into the singles position because he got super over through the Bloodline story, and that's totally fine. Upper mid card guy is totally fine. You know who else was a super over upper mid card guy? His dad.
Yeah.
You know what his dad ever did? Never main evented WrestleMania.
Or won the world title.
Yeah, or won the world championship, because, you know, he was a top level Intercontinental
upper
level.
mid card.
Yeah, the guy that would come out and the crowd would absolutely love, would either be an opener or would be like interspersed with the main event guys. Like he would team up with guys like The Rock or Steve Austin or Triple H when he was a heel or anything along those lines and just do stuff. But there's a certain echelon between that and the top main event guys, and maybe they trying to position Jey Uso as part of that. I mean, who knows? Maybe the whole long-term aim of the Bloodline story was to make Jey Uso a world champion. Maybe that was the whole ambition overall. Maybe that's the end game. Maybe that's the 9th inning, is Jey Uso is world champion. Maybe that's the 7th inning. Maybe the 9th inning is Jimmy Uso is world champion. Maybe the 10th inning stretch is Roman Reigns' son wins the world title at 6 years old or whatever. I don't know, but I just think that it's such a bizarre choice, especially because we just saw him have the match with Gunther at Saturday night's main event. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he's also had a match with Gunther before that as well.
For the Intercontinental.
For the Intercontinental title. And I don't think people are like clamoring with the idea of, oh, this will be the year that he finally beats Gunther. It's like, it's not like Sami Zayn's story about that, and it's not like Chad Gable's story beforehand. It's like, I don't think people saw that match and thought, oh god, I really hope that Jay gets his opportunity again, or oh, he got so close, he just needs one more shot and he'll win the world title.
Like the Kofi Mania thing.
Yeah, and maybe that's a case of like, maybe that's just because I'm not into the whole Yeet stuff, and I'm not like the biggest Jey Uso fan that clearly a lot of people are. So maybe there are people out there, and I'm happy for people to correct me if I'm wrong, that are really, really clamouring for this match and were really, really disappointed when he didn't win the match against Gunther, and are desperately excited for the fact that he's going to get one more shot at him and going to win the title at WrestleMania. But for me, it's just, that feels so lame. But it's because, like, there's so many other options, and this is the one you decide to go with, the one that you just did.
Very strange. Like,
because I understand what you're saying. Like, it's makes people feel like, oh, I don't know what they're doing for WrestleMania, and that can be exciting in a way. But for me, I just think, how can you make this exciting without Jay losing his title shot? Because the alternative is, like,
he just said, so I'm going to fight Gunther, and then what do they do for 4 months?
Either I'm going to fight Gunther or I'm going to fight Cody in April, so what, like 2-3 months away now, and it's just like, okay, that's it now until then. Or you just, you sit on it until, how they've done it in the past, like you sit on it until Elimination Chamber, and he finally makes his choice about who he's going to fight, and then he obviously chooses Gunther because he's not going to fight Cody. But I just feel like that really positions, especially when you've got these 2 world championships and you're already facing an uphill battle with this world title, with people obviously thinking that it's the secondary world championship, and then it's the quote unquote fake world championship. Like, Jey Uso versus Gunther feels so mid card as a world title match. Whereas if it was Gunther against Punk or Gunther against Rollins or Gunther against even like not Damian Priest again, but like a Gunther against Bron Breakker,
right?
Like it feels more big time, or it feels more impactful. Whereas this does feel like, okay, this goes middle of the card on night one, rather than like this. It's main event in name only.
Right. This is an opening match, but you're going to call it the main event.
Exactly. Yeah. Or you're going to slot it middle of the card and say like, oh, we have 3 main events this year. It's the one in the opener, which you think is a bigger match, and the one at the end, which you think is the biggest match, and then the one in the middle, which we say is a main event, but it's because Jey Uso is in it, and we don't really trust him to be like an actual main event guy of the show.
Yeah.
I mean, it adds more credence to the fact that maybe Charlotte Flair will be main eventing one of the nights instead of. But yeah, I say it's a shocking result, and so it is interesting in that regards. But I think that sometimes shocking isn't enough on its. Well, yeah, it isn't enough on its own to be good. So I think that it was I'd say we'll see in time. But from what I've seen so far of like Jey Uso, which obviously isn't much because I don't watch week to week, but I think it's a mistake based on superficial reasons.
I don't know where they're going. I'm curious, but that pretty much sums up what we got to say, because that's I don't know. I overall I'm interested, but I'm still kind of like I don't trust it yet. So they got me at least on that front.
Yeah. Okay, they got everyone. I think.
Yeah.
Like, there must be some WWE writer who anonymously put a load of money on Jey Uso winning, and is now just like rolling in it off the back of that. But yeah, I'd say it's interesting. It's an interesting approach to take, to go with a bit more of a shock winner.
So we'll have to see this unfold, obviously. We'll talk about more of that along the way on the road to WrestleMania and all. But in the meantime, that is the pay-per-view point. Remind everybody to check out everything on all the different platforms for Smark Out Moment, for Fanboys Anonymous, and for everything on amangotree.com. Go ahead and like those accounts, subscribe to them, whatever they might be. Check me out at Tony Mango, most of them, and check out what Callum's up to.
Yep, you can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Wigmeister14. Check out the power rankings that went out earlier today. Obviously, very out of date now with the Royal Rumble results, but check all that stuff out to see what they were prior to the Royal Rumble and how I was ranking the WWE superstars based on their previous week's performances. And then there's the Fantasy League. So when it comes to the Fantasy League, it's going to be a bit weird, this one. So I might have to figure out a way of doing this, because if my recollection is correct, we pretty much had the same choices for 3 of the matches. We all predicted Charlotte Flair was going to win the Women's Royal Rumble, I believe. I believe that we all predicted Cody Rhodes was going to win the WWE title match, and we all predicted that the Sheet Machine Guns were going to win, which obviously we all were wrong with, but we all predicted that anyway. Then the only difference we had was in the Royal Rumble, the Men's Royal Rumble winner, which was you were predicting, I believe Seth Rollins was your final choice. I was predicting John Cena, and Rob was predicting CM Punk, I think, as his final choice. Let me just double check just to see. I know you said it earlier on. Just going to check. Because I forgot to put a time prediction because I was late to do the stuff. Let me just double check. Oh, God. Had to scroll through this stuff really quickly.
Well, we could all lump that in with the Royal Rumble predictions contest stuff, too. We can calibrate over the next couple days.
Yeah, well, it's the issue with that is that I didn't do I haven't done a full predictions contest thing for...
Oh, you didn't fill it in?
No, so...
Okay, well then you lose that one.
Yeah, well, it's fine. I've lost all the prediction contests this year anyway. I don't mind losing that one. But yeah, he went with Punk, so we all predicted someone different, so I assumed that one of those 3 was going to be right, but we're all wrong on that front. Jey Uso won instead, so... I mean, I could go based on which one of them was the closest, which was Cena, obviously, but like that would be like seem like a real shitty way of doing it. Because Cena fish
in the chat is it's threatening to unsubscribe if we don't read the comment. So what is this comment? Jey Uso will take a page out of Jimmy's book before WrestleMania. He will get a few DUIs. He will use his Rumble choice to fight Jimmy at a best 2 out of 3 DUI match. Okay. That needed to be read, I guess.
I'm glad. I'm glad we kept your subscription.
Yeah.
You seem like a hell of a jokester. But no, as I say, we'll see how it goes. But we'll figure something out in terms of how we approach it. But there will be some changes to the teams because the Royal Rumble will be a time where we decide to drop people from our rosters as well. It's funny enough, I had Jey Uso on my roster, so I might get the points for him winning the Royal Rumble on there, which I was not expecting.
No, not at all.
To be honest, I wasn't expecting any of us to have any of it because none of our teams have either Charlotte Flair, John Cena, CM Punk, or the only person that was probably the likely one to win on either of any of our rosters was you had Seth Rollins,
right? So
I was suspecting, okay, that might be the case, but no, I get to get the Royal Rumble winner, which is a bit crazy. And we'll keep you up to speed about any change to come up. We'll probably talk about that when we all three of us get back together, head for either like the main event we do this week or for the hot tags, and we'll then reveal to you how the teams have changed at that point. But you can follow that along and see how the Royal Rumble has affected the standings over at WWEFantasyLeague.com or find it through the Smark website.
And that'll do us in, everyone. So leave your comments below. Tell us what you thought. And we'll see you next time. This has been another Smark Out moment, and we're being counted out.